Well, that ushers in the conversation that we'd like to have this morning on discrimination on the workplace. It's now 24 minutes after 8, and in studio I'd already introduced him, but for the benefit of somebody who's joining us, Tom Okech is the chair of Consumer Downtown Association. Mr. Okech, this obviously has blown up on social media for reasons we all know, but let me find out from you as the chair of Consumer Downtown Association, what is your take on what's happening so far?
My take and the take of our organization is that this is not new. It is not a single event that is happening. This is happening all over, except that this has come to the fore and is now being discussed. But on this issue that we have termed as racism, it's called by many different names. Outside in Kenya, and it happens in different places. Any business, if I would move on the side of Chandarana first, any business has preferences, and they know, since they have been in trade for a long time, they know which clients
they target.
They target. So targeting happens in any business. Except maybe the email was a bit ill-informed, but again, it was an internal email. Maybe that's what they do internally, and everybody else does these things internally.
When you say everybody else does these things, when you talk about targets, I think it's good to be clear.
Yes.
It is okay for a business to target, but what are the confines in which a business should target? Because if it is based on race, if it is based on tribe, if it is based on sex, gender, religion, that is discriminatory.
Right. What is not clear in the email is what kind of products they were talking about in this particular case. It could have been their products that are liked by the target market that they were targeting. But if they were doing this overally, as that the clients they would want to come to their supermarkets are only whites, then this is wrong. And the reason I'm saying that this is widespread, it happens even if you go to hotels. There are hotels that prefer openly, where they don't write it anywhere, but then they would find that they prefer white clients, or when they come, especially like in the coastal region. These complaints have been received by us and other authorities that there is preferential treatment. Even in buildings where access is restricted, you would see this even by security enforcers.
Even as they frisk, you'll find that times they don't frisk certain people.
Yes, they don't frisk certain people. So this has been happening, and it's unfortunate that our law enforcers, or that the government departments that are supposed to deal with this, don't deal with this decisively. And this has given the leeway for businesses or persons to be able to discriminate against others. And most of the time it is Kenyans. And this follows on the trend that we have had for a very long time, since the time of the colonialists. We would remember that we had a law on vagrancy that brought about segregation. So there were areas where blacks were not supposed to access. There were businesses or hotels or institutions that they were not supposed to access. So there was the top, the middle, and the lower class. The top were the whites, the middle class were the Indians, and then the blacks were at the lower level. So this has been sustained in a way, as much as the law was repealed sometimes, but late into independence, it was repealed, but this has remained silently, and it is still happening. So what may need to be done is for our government or the law enforcers to be able to move, not necessarily to arrest people, but then to be able to inform people more and to follow up on monitor how businesses work, how clients are served in different institutions. This would help to inform people, because it is ingrained in the minds of some people.
Yeah. And I'll come to that in a bit, but what is Consumer Downtown Association doing about some of those instances where you've mentioned maybe you've received complaints?
Right. What we usually do, because we receive lots of complaints from different sectors, what we do is we approach the institutions that are supposed to take care or that are directly involved. And first of all, discuss with them, like I'm saying, that there need to be information. People need to be informed. Maybe somebody could be doing something, not realizing that it is wrong in the perspective of the community or in law, but they could be doing it maybe thinking they are promoting their business. So first of all is to approach these institutions, then the businesses that are doing this would also write to them or approach them and get to know exactly why this is happening. Then if there are areas that we feel that need to be changed, then we would approach the authorities that need to work on that. Yes.
Okay, and should somebody have a complaint, what's the procedure? What is it that you do if you feel discriminated? And this is not just discriminated against whether you're white or black, because we also do have areas where maybe whites feel discriminated. But what is the procedure now? Should you feel discriminated, what do you do?
Okay, there are avenues of redress, which may include approaching the organizations or the institutions that are discriminating against you and finding out, that is if they are open enough to be able to discuss this, then finding out why this happened. Maybe you are blocked at the entrance, or you stayed in a restaurant for a long time and other people are being served, coming in and being served, and you're not being served. So you could approach the management and talk to them. That if they are not able to address this, or if they are ignoring you or dismissing you, then for those who know us, would come to us, would complain to us, then would add our voice to what's happening. Those who may not know, because there are many people who go through discrimination in different areas, then this could be reported to the authorities that govern these areas. Again, there are members of the public who may not know which authority is involved, then this needs to be reported to the police.
Okay.
Yes.
And of course, there's also the issue of knowledge and, just knowing our rights. What would be termed as discrimination? Because like, I'll use the incidents you've described, where you've gone to a restaurant and maybe you have not been served. And the waiters may just simply say they had not seen you or not paid attention, whereas you may know very well that there are people who've come after you, and maybe because they're of a different color, they basically are served before you. It becomes very difficult to prove.
Yes, the line is very thin to prove, but in circumstances where you have maybe called a waiter and they have bypassed you and ran to another one who has just come in, that would be clear discrimination. Yeah, the other thing to do is, because like in hotels and restaurants, there is a manager somewhere, then you could raise this with the management and find out what exactly is happening. What happens in many of such facilities is that maybe the waiters get some bonuses when they sell to clients who pay more. So this makes them want to run to those they think would be able to pay more. And again, it's about tips again. Yeah, there is this mentality that maybe white people give better tips than the black. So it could not be the management, but then the waiters themselves feel like if they run and sell to that one, they will get more tip than they would do to this one. So it is a lot of things put together. But the management of such facilities must be able to address this. They must ensure that all the clients are served. Okay. So maybe have more waiters serving people.
And yes. Do you have any programs that you run possibly in creating awareness for those who are working? Because you'll find that the possibilities that those who are least informed are probably the ones who are misused the most. I remember an incident not too long ago where we had some workers locked in a factory. And the only way it was discovered is after a fire. And of course, quite a number of them lost their lives. Very sad, but we still have situations where factory workers especially are discriminated against very badly. They're treated literally like trash, but possibly either do not know what to do or have no avenue. Again, how do you ensure that if they make the complaint that they don't lose their job? Because that might be the other thing that hinders them from reporting.
Exactly. That happens a lot. There are many people who go through discrimination, mistreatment, but they fear to come out and say what exactly is happening to them, for fear of, one, losing their jobs, and the unemployment is too wide around here. Getting another job would be difficult. So a lot of people choose to suffer,
to be silent,
rather than report. And even to those who write to us or complain to us, they actually
want to be anonymous.
Yeah, they tell us, please don't mention me. So that's happening. There is fear. What we do, in your first question, what we do to inform people, we usually hold forums. Like just 2 weeks ago, we had a consumer open day and exhibition for 2 days at the 7th August Memorial Park, which we call Bomb Blast, for 2 days, where we called various service providers to come there, and then members of the public to come in and be able to engage with the service providers to know exactly what services are provided, and also be able to get information about how they provide their services, and if there are any issues that they need to complain about, they could raise them there. We do such forums in different areas. We move to different regions, but those ones will not be able to capture everyone. So the other thing we do is just to give our contacts out there so that people can be able to come to us. And several people have come. There are even residences, associations that have come to us when they don't have water or electricity is a problem, and we've been able to help them address these issues. So what members of the public need to do, number one, is not to suffer in silence. Yeah, because a lot of people suffer in silence. A lot of people decide to go their own way, like the issues of water that I've just mentioned. Some decide to buy bigger tanks, ferry water to their places so that they can be okay, but then the rest of the people have a problem. So if people can come out and speak about areas where they feel that they're not being treated right, this would help a lot, because this would be picked up and would be addressed. The other thing is you would even find the area of fear, like what we had recently about the SGR, the discrimination at SGR. Right. We have spoken to a number of them, and they fear. They have been suffering, but they fear that if they speak out,
they may lose their job.
They may lose their jobs. And this even follows on how the government responded when this issue came out. The government spokesman came out and said, oh, those people who are against SGR would be dismissed. You see, so people would fear, because that's the government speaking. The government that's supposed to come in and address this issue, yeah, is actually siding with those who are discriminating the worker, the Kenyan workers. So it's a difficult area, and a lot of people fear, and a lot of people are suffering in silence. But what we say as an organization that deals with the consumer protection is that we must come out. Those who are not able to speak for themselves can reach us, can reach other institutions that are able to help them address this. That's the only way we can be able to fight this. Otherwise, if it is in silence, some people even die in the silence. When like you have mentioned, the factories where people are locked in at night, because the managers leave at maybe at 5 p.m. Then, since they think people will steal from them, then they lock everybody in there. So if there is an issue of fire, like you have just mentioned, people die there. Yeah.
All right. Now, your advice to employers and not factories, but businesses, in terms of how they should, because targeted marketing is not a criminal offense. And this could be for various reasons. You could, for instance, have a hair product that is specifically made for a certain community, and then you would want to target them. But depending on how you phrase it, depending on how you put it across, it may come out as a racist statement. And I'm not saying that in defense of Chandarana. They are yet to say what they were trying to do. But what would your advice to employers be when it comes to targeted marketing? Because then it becomes a sensitive issue.
Yeah, our advice to manufacturers or traders that trade in particular goods and want to target particular clientele, they need to have their information very clear so that it is not misconstrued. Like the case of Chandarana, if they didn't come back to own the statements, maybe I may have said that is not what they meant. But then they have come up to own up to it and say maybe the person who was writing was not proficient in English. So one is to do exactly what they have discovered, that there was no proficiency in English and the communication may have been wrong, so that their communication is correct Maybe they would have done it right if they were communicating to the public. But since this was an internal thing, so maybe they left out some of this.
Some details.
Yes, but that is exactly what should be done, to give details on why you are targeting a certain clientele and what are you doing to the others, what are you offering to the others. Because if this statement would have said in the next 3 months, because it is summer and maybe we'll have many white clients around, then we are targeting them for the next 3 months. And then towards the November, December, since it's a Christmas season around here, then we'll be targeting this other class of clientele, then that would have sounded. But if it is just that we are targeting whites, then it came out very wrong.
All right.
Yes.
Your closing comments as we wind up on what you possibly would like to see on the landscape of Kenya in terms of business owners and workers, because there has to be a harmony of working, but at the same time, not to be misconstrued for segregation or targeting the wrong people, and like this coming out to be outright racial.
Yeah, first of all, it is to speak to government agencies that are supposed to work around this, that they need to do their job. Yeah, because there's a problem in that area, and a big problem, because they are not addressing, they are yet to properly address the SGR issue. The issue of the Chinese, who in a lot of areas people feel that there is discrimination, they are being given more space than others. Including in colleges, we have even received complaints from Nairobi University that the new tower, the Chinese are occupying most of it. Some lessons miss lecture halls, while there are too many lecture halls. Given to the Chinese lesson. So when this is happening, it will create a problem in the near future, because people are being made to feel that the Chinese are just getting too much out of what is available. So the government agencies should be able to address this so that this feeling is not escalated. The other thing is on service providers need to be able to communicate clearly, to have their products, even if it is not maybe written or advertised communication, maybe on their products, they need to communicate so that people can be able to know exactly what their products are for, why they are doing what they do. Business charters should be available. Maybe if it is in a restaurant, they should have their business charter there, so which people can look at and know what they stand for.
Clearly what they stand for.
Yes, so that would be my advice to them.
All right, thank you very much, Tom Okech, who's the chair for Consumer Downtown Association, for joining us this morning and having that conversation. But still some stories on the business world and the state of roads in